Shalom, party people, and welcome to the 12th Sea. Roman CJ on Instagram asks, what did you do in the oil field? I worked on workover rigs for 12 and a half, I assume you mean 12 and a half years, and got 3 years in a hot oil truck. So, I was finishing up some college, not all of college, but I was finishing up some college, and I met this girl, fell in love. We got married, but fast forwarding a little bit into that story. Met this girl, fell in love, and I needed money. I graduated debt-free, which was fantastic. That's stupid. But I graduated debt-free, and it was, hey, I need money, because just because you're debt-free doesn't mean you got anything. I was flat broke, but I didn't have any debt. So my dad, he was working for somebody who had a lot of connections in the oil field, and he made some phone calls and it's like, hey, my kid needs to earn some money, throw him on a rig. And so they threw me on the rig that had the highest turnover rate, because this company that I was drilling for, they basically had the mindset of, we're going to put all of our new people on the same rig, with a couple of experienced people, and if they can survive 4 to 6 months out there, then we'll put them on a permanent rig, and it helped them control their turnover, because then they didn't have turnover on like 15 different rigs, they had turnover on one rig. So there was that. But I started off as a roustabout, and I was making, what was I making? I was making $22.50 an hour, and this was back in 2014, give or take. So $22.50 an hour. I was just picking up trash, running a pressure washer, helping them trip pipe. Moved up a little bit, made a little bit extra money. The overtime, I was making some pretty good money, more money than a kid fresh out of school needs to be making, because I had no idea what I was doing with that money. But I started in the early summer, and made it through, I think I made it into like October, I think. The week before I was going to be done, because I went in with an exit strategy. I'm going to go in, I'm going to make this much money, and then I'm going to leave. And theoretically, like, if I, buy a bag of apples and a couple of bags of bread and a few jars of peanut butter, I'm going to be able to, save money on groceries. I can live in the bunkhouse, I can work extra shifts, and I can save this much money and then get out of here. I spent a lot of money. I didn't want to drive home on my weeks off, so I flew home. Paid to leave my truck in covered parking, and I just flew home. Then I bought some toys that I wanted to have, and I still had bukus of money left over. I couldn't spend it fast enough. Spent a lot of money on scars, spent a lot of money on imported tea, bought sound systems, just bought upgraded toys. Still had enough money to pay for the things that I wanted to pay for. But burned through a lot of cash. I have 10 grand that I have absolutely no idea what happened to. I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs. I spent money on stuff, I have my receipts, but I just had 10 grand that disappeared, and I was making so much money that I didn't care. Like, it's gone. It is what it is. But yeah, I started as a roustabout, moved up to a roughneck, and I was training on motors. And I fell 10 feet, landed on the inside of a mud pit that was drained, and there is a 6-inch diameter pipe at the bottom of this mud pit that is for fluid flow through the mud pit. And I hit my hips and my lower lumbar on that from a 10-foot height, which isn't ridiculous, but it's enough to matter. I fell, and I remember my boots were full of water, And I opened my eyes and I was like, this isn't right. And like, patted my head, patted my shoulders, patted my knees, like patted my feet. I was like, I'm alive and I can feel stuff, so I must be okay. Jumped up, climbed up the little ladder for the mud pit, sat down, just to catch my breath, and I like instantly felt a metric ton of pain. I was like, this is not good. So I called over my driller and I was just like, hey, this ain't right. I just fell. That camera saw me. This hurts. And obviously I wasn't explaining it that calm. I was screaming when I was explaining this to him. They got me down, they got me to my truck. I paid a dude $100 to change my boots and my socks. And I think he would have done it for free. But I was just like, I'm not having some man, touch another man's nasty feet and not, be able to walk away with some beer money. And drove myself to the hospital. The company safety man called me and it was like, if you walk into that hospital, it's not going to end well. And he spent 30 minutes talking me out of going into the hospital. My dad was in the area for his job, and I called him. I was like, I need a place to lay down. Like, I'm in a metric ton of pain. I don't know how I got to the hospital, but I'm here. But they're telling me not to go in, which I didn't know better. I should have just walked in. But it's just like, this ain't right. I need to lay down. Maybe I'll feel better in the morning. I don't know. And so my dad came and got me, laid down in the bed, and I woke up. I don't remember what day it was, but I crawled to the shower. I took a shower on the floor of the shower because it was like a walk-in shower in the hotel. I took a shower on the floor of the shower, crawled back to my bed, and my dad was getting ready to leave, and he's like, I'm taking you to the hospital. So they took me to the hospital. They ran all the tests, did all the things, and it was deep tissue bruising on my pelvis and on my lower lumbar. All of the joints had filled up full of blood, and so it was just painful is all it was. It wasn't, nothing was broken. I think they said there was like a hairline on the pelvis, but they're like, that's going to heal on its own. There's nothing we can do for it. Like, it's just going to be painful. Sucks for you. Here's some meds. And I did physical therapy for, I did 6 weeks bed rest, 6 months physical therapy, and I didn't need the 6 months of physical therapy. Honestly, about 2 months of physical therapy, and it was fine. I had a lot more movement, had a lot of things better on. I still have a phantom pain every so often, but I think that's more psychosomatic than anything else, and it's fine. I've run marathons since then, so I'm good. But primarily what I did in the oil field, I started picking up trash and spraying things with a pressure washer. I moved to tripping pipe, lifting heavy objects in and out. I learned how to trip pipe with a chain instead of with the actual tongs, so that was cool. Actually learned how to whip the chain and use the motor to spin everything. Did a couple of rig moves, did a couple of cable changes. We had a top drive rig. I did get a little experience on a Kelly rig just to see what that was about. But all in all, I just got dirty, played, made money. Was in from, late May-ish into October. So what, May, June, July, August, September, October, so 6 months, got hurt. And like I said, I remember like my exit strategy was like the next week is when I was going to leave. And I was dragging a hose backwards during rig move, tripped and fell inside the mud pit. Then thankfully this one was empty, because if this mud pit had been full and it had been on, then they would have never found me. Because the way those churners inside moved, that there wouldn't have been anything left to find. And it would have been so, full of mud and oil and, all the cutting fluids and everything that they wouldn't have known. They just would have thought that I had walked off. Speaking of, on that crew, it was the highest turnover rate in the company, and that was on purpose. But we had dudes who would show up and work an hour and be like, I can't take this, I'm gone. And it's like, we haven't even gotten to the hard part yet. We're just picking up trash with a grabber. This isn't hard. We'd have people who would, pressure wash for 20 minutes and nah, I didn't sign up for this. It was like, well, what did you sign up for? Because it's the easiest part of the job. When you don't want to work, you literally tie the pressure washer nozzle, or not nozzle, but you tie the pressure washer trigger down, and you sit and you let the pressure washer just spray for 20 minutes, and then you let it go off, and then you move a little bit, and then you go again. That's what you do for a break. So this is the easiest part of the job, and I didn't sign up for this. It's this isn't hard. Now we get into tripping pipe, and we'd have people who are nope, can't do this. It's pick up heavy thing, put it over there. It's quite literally mindless. Did casing changeovers, did pipe changeovers, moved from 2-inch to 3-inch to 4-inch to 5-inch to 6-inch pipe. The directional drill that we were running, we were 2,200 meters down, I think was a record that we were dealing with, it, which wasn't that's not that deep, in all honesty, but it was the rig's record. It was about 2,200 meters down, and then I want to say it was 4,000 meters long, because they go down and out, which is crazy that they bend steel pipe like that. It is what it is. Best analogy I have for it is you take expo markers and you start connecting them in the end, and it's going to start to bow. So same thing with steel pipe, it'll eventually start to bow. Lost a drill bit. We were tripping for pipe for days trying to find it. Wasn't my fault that we lost a drill bit, it just happened. They finally got it. It was good, but fishing for drill bits sucks because you're tripping in the hole, out of the hole, in the hole, out of the hole, in the hole, out of the hole. Just it is what it is. Rig move was always nice because it was extra money, extra hours, but extra money. I tell you, the casing crews that we ran into, those guys were weird. Dudes who just work 14 days straight with no sleep. It's, because they have meth addictions. Whereas regular dudes on the oil rig, some of those guys had addictions for whatever, but most people didn't last when that was the case. So it is what it is. I was underage at the time. I was old enough to work the rig, but I wasn't old enough to drink, so I was the DD, drove the guys everywhere. I was I don't want to be doing this by myself, because if you guys die in a car wreck, then I'm going to be tripping pipe by myself, which I've done before, and that sucks. It was me, the driller, and the derrick man, and I was the only person on the rig floor tripping the pipe. Awful. Sucks. You can do it. Now, obviously, you can't do it without the driller. You can't do it without the derrick man. But yeah, top drive rig, stacks of pipe, 3 stacks high, just drilling. It was good stuff. If somebody needed to make some money fast, it's a decent way to do it. It's hard work, but so there's a lot of other things. But yeah, I was in the oil field for roughly 6 months, got hurt, got out, and I'm fine now. Shy of, I think, round 3 of 2024 of 75 hard, I don't think I was ever in better shape than when I was in the oil field. But yeah, round 3 of 2024 75 hard was, I think, my best. And that's saying something. easily burning 10,000 calories a day without trying when you were tripping pipe. That's just part of it. You eat heavy and you move on. Getting hurt in the oil field was part of why I had gained so much weight, because I was still eating 10 to 12,000 calories a day, but not moving, and so I had put on a ton of weight, and I had lost some of it, but I had gained some back, and so it's just part of things. But the oil field was quite an interesting experience, and anyone who's interested in going into something like that, I mean, try it out, have an exit strategy, save as much money as possible, don't spend money on stupid stuff, but it's a job. It pays, it sucks, but so does a lot of other things. Go do hard things.